be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Everybody watch out. Watch out now.
Good morning. Glad you could join me again. It's Vape AM, sponsored by Vapers1.com. I'm Anthony Ramella. Well, good morning. You know, it's another day. I'm up again, telling you guys about vaping news. Today I'm vaping my Tesla 220 with my Falcon tank. You know, the unfortunate thing is this is like my favorite. This Tesla I just recently got, and it's a little on the heavy side. I'll be honest with you. It's a very heavy vape compared to some of the other things that I use, but I love the quality of this thing. It's just phenomenal, and I cannot get away from my Falcon tank. I just can't find anything else that hits as well. I got a Freemax probably a couple of weeks ago, and it just sits. Like, I keep trying it, but I mean, I just can't get the hit like I can out of this Falcon. So, you know, personal preference. Anything you guys see on the show, you can actually get at Vapers1.com. So, you know, if you see something on here and you're like, dude, I'd like to have one of those, just head over to Vapers1.com. They'll fix you up. Oh, and the cool thing about that site too, before I forget, they have like the lowest shipping costs that I've seen from any of the sites that I have been on. I've seen juices out there like $10, and I go to check out, it's like $10 in shipping. It's like, wow. So I'm paying $20, $25 anyway. The nice thing about Vapers is their prices are reasonable, but any orders over $35 ship for free. So, you know, a bottle of juice and a pack of coils, and you're pretty close to that number, if not there. So there's no reason to go to these other sites that are, you know, teasing you with a low-cost juice amount, because they're just going to make it up in their shipping and handling. So, you know, be smart, and I think you are if you're watching this show. So I'm going to be, today I'm vaping on one of my absolute favorites. This is a company, I think their parent company is called Cream Vapor, but this is their 485 Red line. This juice we've had at the Vapor Source for quite a while. It's 485 Red Strawberry Hibiscus. I absolutely love this flavor. If you like strawberries and you want a natural strawberry flavor that you can almost like taste the seeds of the strawberry in, you gotta take a look at this juice. It's really fantastic. All right, so once again, we're gonna do a little Today in History. I got a couple of things to talk about today, but they're all kind of cool stuff. One of the oldest things in here, as far as in history, is today marks the day of Paul Revere's ride. So that's kind of an interesting thing. You know, these, you know, revolutionary and all that, and imagine that, a vaping revolution and the revolutionary guy. Along those same lines, the Revolutionary War ended its 8-year span today, and it's exactly the same day that it started, which is unique, according to the information that I found anyway. How do you start and end a war on exactly the same day, 8 years apart? I don't know, but they figured out a way to do it, and I'm glad the war's over. So, now the other thing is that today in history, San Francisco suffered probably the worst earthquake that they'd ever had. It killed 4,000 people, and it destroyed up to 75% of the city. So it's amazing how Mother Earth can change the game when she wants to. So I was unaware of this earthquake before I was doing this research, and that's pretty substantial. 75% of the city was destroyed. So nice job, guys, out in San Francisco for rebuilding. I'd like to see you guys pass some a little bit more realistic laws, but we're going to get to that. So first thing in the morning wake and vape news is school systems around the country seem to be putting in some pretty heavy discipline when it comes to vaping. I never saw this with cigarette smoking. I never saw this with marijuana use in schools. But vaping, this, you know, evil disaster that's come to their schools, which really isn't any of those things, they're taken really seriously. And I think it's just because they're seeing a lot of kids, you know, or as far as Scott Gottlieb was saying anyway, that it's an epidemic. So the first one we're going to talk about, and I talked about this in a Vapors report, is the Hamilton City Schools, or Hamilton County Schools, excuse me, in the Ohio area. They just recently put in some pretty heavy disciplinary action for that. It's like 10 days suspension and possible like 80 days expulsion, which I thought was really kind of extreme. One of the other weird things is that any of their teachers can go around at any time with their little handheld metal detectors and search any student for any reason. I don't know that that's a bad precedent to set. I was looking at some of the constitutional laws about that, and I'm not so sure that they're really allowed to do that. So, you know, it's something I'd like you guys to talk about. If you have information about this, leave me a comment at the bottom. Let me know. And along those same lines too, if you guys are watching the show, please comment, please subscribe. But the most important thing is please share this, please repost this. If you're seeing this on Facebook or Instagram or something like that, repost this stuff because these videos are pretty short, but there's a lot of good knowledge in here. And I think a lot of vapors out there are really into the devices and into the liquids, but they don't have any idea of some of the laws that even their local lawmakers are trying to pass that could end this before it ever gets really started. So along the same lines of the school thing, the other story that I found that I thought was kind of incredible was this legacy traditional schools. I don't have written here where they're out of, but one boy was actually suspended for vaping for 5 weeks. I mean, this kid made just a little mistake. He wasn't even a guy that normally vaped. He tried it. He made a mistake. They kicked him out for 5 weeks, which I think is a little extreme, but the worst part is that he could have went to another school and done time there and continued his learning, but in that area, all schools are allowed to refuse admittance to anyone that's been suspended from another school, so no schools would allow him to come on. Actually, one of the schools would have allowed him to come in, and when they looked at what the reason was he was suspended, they actually kicked him out again. Here's the thing, this kid's not very old. I mean, he might be 12 or 13 years old, and you're doing some detrimental damage to a child who made just a tiny mistake with this overwhelming amount of discipline. I understand that you don't want to have other kids to do this, and maybe you're trying to set an example, and I get that, but I'm gonna have Drew put this link down at the bottom so you can actually see this kid. Looks like a clean-cut, all-American kid. This isn't a kid that's out, starting fires and, skipping school. He wants to get back into school. So we really don't want to do that kind of discipline. My suggestion would be to these schools, if you're going to discipline people for vaping, put them in an in-school suspension. Search them before they go in, sit them down, make them continue to learn. Kicking the kid out of school for misbehaving is like a reward. I know when it's happened to me when I was a kid that it was just a week off. So that's not really teaching me a lesson. It's probably putting more pressure on the parents because now they got to find somebody to watch the kid or they've got to adjust their work schedules and all that. If the child's supposed to be in school and he needs to be disciplined, let's throw him, like I said, in an in-school suspension. So just my opinion, but it does seem like a really bad precedent to set for these types of searches because this is kind of a slippery slope. If we're allowed to search students for really any reason, then what other things are they going to just not allow because they don't like, or what other punishments would come out for kids that really just don't need to be punished. So that's kind of the first story in the news. The second story kind of goes along with the San Francisco thing. As most of you know that watch the show, I'm not a huge fan of this city because of some of the ridiculous laws that they try and push out. And here comes another one. San Francisco is trying to get all vape products banned in California, including online sales. San Francisco, okay? With no act of wanting to remove cigarettes. They've banned flavored tobacco products, but the actual cowboy killing, non-filtered Camel tar sticks that cause all kinds of problems, yeah, you can pick those up anywhere in San Francisco. They're more than happy to sell you those. But these vapes that cause no problems and don't hurt anybody and are wonderful flavors and people are dropping their nicotine levels and quitting smoking. That's the devil, according to San Francisco, and it drives me crazy every time. The biggest thing is that they won't get rid of cigarettes, and I think the reason is obviously because of the money, but one of the things that they're standing on is the Tobacco Control Act, which passed in 2007, February 15th of 2007. It says cigarettes were made legal here, and because vape wasn't on the scene yet, they're just not included in this law. Which kind of stinks because this law, when it got passed, it actually allowed cigarettes to kind of take hold in our society. And just because vape products weren't on the scene yet, San Francisco wants them banned because they want all of these pre-market tobacco applications to be went through and approved by the FDA before they will allow people to use them. I understand San Francisco, and it's a nice argument to have. And if this was Debate Club, I would say that you definitely have a point, but it ain't. This is people's real lives that you're screwing with. I'm wondering how many people a year die in California from cigarettes. I know your homeless rate is absolutely insane because it's like 120,000 people in California alone are homeless. Really you need to spend more time dealing with a product that's not hurting anybody and not taking care of that problem, Sorry, I get a little upset, but it's first thing in the morning and you guys just got me going. So anyway, so if you're interested about any of these stories that we talked about today, please get informed. There will be links down at the bottom. Share with your friends, talk about it. And leave me comments. If you guys leave me something down there and you want to discuss a certain topic or something like that, by all means, please tell me what you want to talk about. I'm just going to keep throwing news at you until you say mercy, but that ain't going to happen anytime soon because there's stuff that you just need to know. All right, so I got to get ready for work. You know, I got to get in the shower here. I got to get on with the rest of my day. So I appreciate you guys coming with us. Just remember, stop smoking, you're going to die. Come and see us at vapors1.com. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Gotta stop smoking, don't you know? The life you save might be your own. Down to vapors I go. Down to vapors I go. Vapors1.com is the site you should know. So online down to vapors I'll go.